Live.
Okay, we're live. Good evening and welcome to the November 17th, 2020 meeting of the Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen. May we have a roll call, please?
4 selectmen are present: Mr. Slavin, Ms. Whiteside, Mr. Tropiano, Mr. Titlebaum, as well as Town Council and Town Administrator.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Let's see. Judy, why don't you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America
and to
and
the
to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you very much. Announcements. I'll start with you, Alan.
One quick one. I got a couple phone calls about people looking to get tested for COVID over at the hospital. They were a little confused because they moved the van that was by the emergency room for several reasons over to one parking lot, then another. And it was a little confusing. I spoke with Bill Burns earlier today. They're going to have a trailer that'll be more permanently located in the area, in the parking area, but you have to call still to get an appointment, even though they'll do the testing right there. So you just can't walk, drive in and think you're going to get it. So please understand that they've moved it around. There'll be a positive location now, but you really should call what is called their hotline just to make sure that you're able to get in the time you want. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Patrick, announcements?
No, but just to piggyback on what Alan was saying, if you want a quick test, you go to dentists and they do the quick test. You got to wait in line, but they'll do them quick and you get it quick and it's over and done with. Just be prepared that if you're not ill, to pay.
Judy, announcements?
No, thank you.
I don't have anything either. Let's jump down to citizens' comments. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the board tonight? I'll start with Diane Kenny. If we could unmute her for a second to see if she's here to make a comment or if she's just here to watch. Hi, Diane.
Hi, I wanted to ask a question, actually.
We may not be able to answer, but go ahead and ask.
That's okay. Later in the night is on the agenda to discuss any articles for the special town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And, who knows? I'll go out on a limb here and say you may have an article for an entertainment zone.
Could be.
Could be. If you vote to send this to the special town meeting, would you include in that if there is no interchange, that the project would not go forward?
That is not something that we would do here. That is something that you would actually want to bring up at the planning board public hearing and ask for that sort of inclusion because that's the forum for that. And then it will go back and the decision will be made whether to make that, to honor that request or put that in or whatever. And that's really the purpose of the public hearing. All we're doing tonight is going to be putting probably just a placeholder article on. The article itself, as we typically do with zoning articles, where we know there are going to be public hearings and we know that there could be changes as a consequence of those public hearings. What we do is we put a placeholder article on so that we're not hemmed into just one form of language. So to go as the initial motion to the voters at town meeting. So in this way, people can go to the planning board hearing, they can say to the planning board, we think this should go in there, we think that should go in there. The proponent gets to hear all that, and then it's possible that they may change what is on file at the town clerk's office. And all of those changes will take place in public. They will take place as a result of a public meeting, and the most recent versions get posted. This is a process we've done in zoning before, if you've paid attention to us. So it's nothing different.
Right. Would any of you offer an opinion on whether you think that there should be an interchange if there's a large project or a small project?
I can tell you personally that I have stated in the past that when they were here originally, months ago, even a year ago, I think. I stated that to me, an interchange was critical to any such project.
Yes, you absolutely did.
I said the same thing.
Just for reference, from the first time this project was even discussed at all, the piece of this project overall was a Route 25 interchange. So that's been on the table from day one.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who?
For the record, Mr. Muniz has joined at 7:05.
Yeah, and thanks for waiting. I appreciate that.
Yep. Yep. Well, we didn't have anything going on until 7:10 as far as the vote.
That's all right. Hey, that's all right.
Yeah, I was just going through the citizens' comments. Is there any, how are we going to do this? Because we've got, let's see, I believe Mimi tomorrow is here for the dog hearing, but who knows, maybe she's got something else to say. So I think I'm just going to have to ask everybody I see on the screen. Can we unmask Mimi tomorrow, please? Okay, Mimi tomorrow, was there anything you wanted to say during citizens' comments? I know you're here for the dog hearing.
No, just for the dog hearing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if we
You're
will
welcome.
mask Mimi again, please.
Thank you.
Let's see. What else? You know, I could use the chat function, but that produces sort of something in writing that people don't get to see, and I'm not really comfortable doing that as part of a public meeting.
They can put raise hand. If they put the participants on the side of the screen, then they can, there's a place that says raise hand, and that's when you can ask to unmute them. Do you see that?
What, in the chat screen?
Yeah, when you put the participants to your right in a vertical list, at the very bottom, it says invite, mute me, and raise hand. So Mimi had raised her hand.
Okay.
Do you
Okay, I just clicked on participants, so I can scroll
so
down here.
Slavin, yeah, Slavin just tried it with raising a hand.
Yeah, it doesn't show on the screen, Peter. You have to look at the,
You have to look at-
Yeah, okay, so I got to scroll down the list. Gotcha.
Right. So
Okay, well, I will ask anyone who wants to speak under citizens' comments to please raise their hand. And the comments will need to be fairly quick because we've got to segue into the tax levy hearing in a few minutes.
There's nobody with a hand raised that I
there's
can
nobody
see.
with a hand raised.
Okay, very good. Then board comments, also make them quick. You only got a minute and a half now. I will start with Alan.
Couple real quick things. The Veterans Day event went off well. We didn't have a lot of participants, but everything was put together. I'd like to thank the Onset and Wareham Fire Department, also the Police Department for participating. Peter was there as well with me, and it went very well. And let's see, I had a couple conversations with a couple of residents on different things, looking for more background information, what's going on. I think basically we have some way maybe of getting more information out to our residents as far as what goes on internally and stuff, but that also, and the institutional knowledge that we basically all have in some degree or not, somehow or another, we have to put it on paper or put it somewhere where there's a record. So when things come up, we don't make a mistake or we forget something's already been done and do it again. And the last thing is I had one phone call, and Patrick had the same one, I believe, in which I think one or two of the liquor stores were asking for basically spreading out their liquor license payment, which is $2,500. I asked Attorney Bowen to look into it, and he can talk about it later if it's necessary. He said we could spread it out into 2 payments, as far as he said legally by the board. Thank you.
Okay.
You
but
have
I
your
would
hearing.
want to hear from the town administrator on that as well.
You got your hearing now, it's 7:10.
Yep. Okay, we'll come back to the board comments. Okay, can we get a motion to open the tax levy hearing, please?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, motion to open the hearing by Judy, seconded by Alan. Roll call vote. Alan,
yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Jim. Oh, you gotta turn your mic on, Jim. Thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay, from Jim, yes. Judy.
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500. The hearing is now open. I will now turn it over to the Director of Assessing for her annual presentation.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you all without masks. Michelle is also here to certify the vote when you guys vote on this. This is something new this year. The DOR has kind of changed the way that we deal with the LA5. And instead of you guys wrangling into Gateway, Michelle has a form to fill out that certifies the vote, and I believe I end up uploading that. Did everybody receive the documentation I sent out?
Yes.
We are in a similar situation as last year as far as our ratios and everything are concerned. Unless you want me to, I will spare you the reading of all the documentation and just give you the bullet points.
Mm-hmm. Unless the board, what are questions, they can interject though.
Okay.
Thank you.
Last year for 2020, our residential versus commercial, industrial, personal property ratio was 83.2 and 16.8. This year, it's at 83.4 and 16.6, so we're holding steady there. The tax rate is estimated at this point to be $11.16. And our average residential single-family value has gone up to $305,000. It was $293,000 last year, so it has risen. Our commercial value is up to, average commercial value is up to 707, and industrial is 691. Last year, commercial was 701 and industrial was 674. So it's the residential market that's moving the most. And that's after a year that we did reval too. So the market has been very, very active. Okay, in your documentation, I did include the requisite splits and showing what the increase or decrease would be for the residential. Once again, the residential would be, if we split the rate at its lowest amount, which would be 1.10, there would be a very minimal impact on the residential. And it would raise it for $67, basically based on the average. It would raise the commercial $792. And that trend obviously continues up until the 1.5, where it would actually raise the commercial almost $4,000 each to save $339 for a residential. Given where we are, as far as our ratios are concerned in the current climate, I give you that to think about. I also gave you some more historical stuff in your documentation, but I won't bore you with that for now. We are still one of the lowest overall single-family tax bills in the state, even with our increase in our tax rate this year. And of course, that is all, our values have been certified. We just await the overall certification of the tax rate. Are there any questions?
Jackie, this also includes, so people know as well, part of the debt exclusion for the new school, about 1.5 million within the budget. So I think that's, people should understand, that's where you see a little bit of the increase from 1098 to 1116.
And that's something we were expecting, right?
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you, Derek.
I'll just go around the horn. Alan?
No, no questions. I went over the numbers earlier. Thank you.
Yeah. Patrick?
Yeah, this is not the time to change the tax rate, so I'm in favor of the 1-to-1.
Okay. Jim?
Yeah, what are the tax rates in the surrounding towns that you use for comparison?
Did you get the
I got the
document?
packet. I didn't see the rates in the other towns, though.
The rates,
Go ahead.
I did a community comparison of the average single-family tax bills.
All right, I got that right here.
Okay. The rates I did not put down because without
Okay.
the average single-family value, it doesn't really, it doesn't show us anything. But the average single-family values and the single-family tax bills are what show us where
Well,
we
no,
sit.
I was interested in the rate, just relative to what other towns are getting per 1,000, and to see what the commercial, what that looks like against the commercial real estate. I know it's commercial, industrial, and personal, compared to what our town, even though all of us are the same except for Carver, I believe, and throughout the state, most towns and cities charge the same rate. But I was just wondering that, I mean, I can find it myself. I was just wondering if we had that. So beyond that, I don't have really any other questions. I understand it. And, you know, it is what it is. I'm all set.
Okay, Judy?
No, I want to thank Ms. Nichols for a very thorough presentation, that she sent to us beforehand. I would echo Patrick's comment that it's not the time to change and throw the burden on the commercial and industrial. It's not.
Yeah, I agree. We've got a lot of hurting businesses as a result of the pandemic. They're just hanging on by a thread. And, maybe a few $1,000s doesn't sound like, all that much to a struggling homeowner, but it is a lot of money to a struggling business owner. So I guess what you're looking for, Madam Director, would be a motion to.
Would be a motion to select a residential factor of 1.0.
Okay. Is there somebody who'd like to make that motion?
I will make this, I'll second Patrick's motion.
Okay, so Patrick made the motion to set it at 1.0, seconded by Judy. Any further discussion? I'll go around again. Alan?
No.
Patrick?
No.
Jim?
Nope.
Judy?
No.
I don't have anything further. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. It's unanimous, 500. Thank you for the time you put into this presentation, as always.
Now, what do we have to do for Michelle, Jackie?
She just has to watch us.
She just had to witness the vote.
Yeah.
All right.
She just had to watch us so she can attest to it.
So is a motion to close the hearing in order?
I would say so.
I just
Did we
made it.
open the hearing?
Yeah, we opened it.
No, I said close it.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to close the hearing from Judy, seconded by Alan. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. The hearing is closed, 500. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Have a
Thank
good night.
Thanks, guys. Jim, if you want that information, it's on the data bank. I can try to mine that for you if you'd like.
I could go on to the DLS website and pull that up. I was just, it was just for discussion's sake on what per 1,000 the surrounding towns or of similar size are getting per 1,000. whether it's commercial or residential.
Well, you were correct in saying that Carver's the only split rate around us.
Yeah, and there's not a
Um,
lot throughout the state either.
But the most important thing is that the tax rate itself doesn't make any sense without the average value. So you have to look at both. Make sure you look at both.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Selectman, I think Selectman Muniz is aware of that, but most people don't know that so for example, in Chatham, this is the extreme example, your tax rate might be $6 per thousand, but that's because your average assessed value of a property is probably close to 800,000-900,000. So for example, in Wareham, where we're at, our average assessed value is 305,000. Our tax rate would be $11.16. Falmouth, you might have a lower tax rate, but their average single family assessed value is probably close to $500,000. So you need to you're missing the equation without all the factors in there. So when people just look at tax rate, that's an inaccurate measure.
There's another thing that goes into it as well, and that is the fire district taxes, because they are separate municipalities, and those tax rates are independent of the towns. So you have to add those in to get a true valuation, if you will.
Right. Yeah, we usually, when we do ours with the budget presentation, we add in onset and Wareham fire separately. Most of our communities around us don't have a separate. Barnstable, I think, has, 5 separate fire districts within it. 6. Yeah. So.
Dartmouth has a few too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And Bourne does.
John will yell at me for that.
Yeah. So the average tax bill for fiscal 2020 in the state was $6,177. And our average, the town tax bill for the same period of time was $3,200. So.
Right, and then on top of that, you have to add roughly the, $900 or $1,100, depending on which district you're in, something like that, to get, the equivalence of services to make the direct comparison, but it's still pretty
reasonable.
Yeah, it's still quite reasonable. I mean, we're running 30% less than state average, roughly.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. It was nice to see everybody.
Yep.
You know where I am. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to follow up.
Yep, be safe. Thank you.
Can you hear me? I guess you can't hear me.
Who are you?
I'm Valerie. I live on Pinehurst Drive. I came to the meeting.
Okay, we haven't opened the dog hearing up yet, so just stand by.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Somebody needs to mute her.
Yeah.
I'll mute myself.
Okay, thanks.
I do that too.
And sometimes we mute Derek just because. All right, I was going to jump down and do the appointments so we can get those out of the way so people don't have to hang around for that, because typically the dog hearings take a while. So why don't we, can we have Kwame Barty, who's first on the list here? Can we unmask and go from there?
I don't see him.
Yeah, I'm here, but I don't think you unmasked me.
Are you Q?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, Q.
Hi,
Okay,
how are
yeah.
you?
Would somebody unmask Q, please? And get the video up. Oh, there we go. Great, thank you very much.
Hi.
Why don't you tell us why you're interested in serving on the Conservation Commission?
Well, I would have to take that back when I was in high school. I grew up in Wareham. And then I moved to Rhode Island for a few years. After that, New Bedford. And then now I'm back in Wareham, where I live. And the steady increase of developments around the area is great. But at the same time, it's very important to protect open space in wetlands. So I think the purpose of the conservation is to obviously represent the variety of skills and interests, but at the same point is to learn in how to protect the wildlife, and also and not to hinder any development, but just the protection. So and also to follow in my late cousin's footsteps too as well, Kenny Baptiste. I just wanted to try to incorporate my knowledge and help for the town.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll go around the board here. Alan, do you have any questions?
No, thank you, Q, for stepping up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having
Patrick?
me.
No, I don't have any questions. How many appointings do we have?
There's 3 positions and there's 3 openings for associate, and there are 3 applicants.
Okay, thank you.
Jim?
I'm good, thanks.
Judy?
No, thank you. His application was well done.
Yep. Okay. I guess the only observation I would make is that it's nice to hear people talk about this in terms of the competing interests. Very often, we look at the Conservation Commission as somebody who's supposed to shut things down, and that's not always the case. So it's interesting to hear that viewpoint.
Sorry, that was Sandy in the background.
Yeah, I heard the exclamation.
Nothing's flying at me yet.
No, she's probably heading over to my house. Okay, well, can we get a motion, please?
I move that we appoint Kwame Barty to the associate position on the Conservation Commission. And I'm afraid I don't have the expiration date on that.
1 year.
1 year.
1 year. Okay, so it would be June of 2021, June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to appoint by Judy, seconded by Patrick. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes,
Judy?
Yes.
Myself? Yes. So you've been approved 500. Give it until Thursday. You need to go actually into the Selectmen's office to get your approved sheet and take it down to the clerk and take the oath of office, get sworn in. So
Excellent.
that should be
Thank
ready
you
for
so much.
Thursday. Yes, thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
The next applicant is Michael Mercier. Could we, I think that's Michael RM 1821 maybe?
That's correct. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. My internet connection could be a little unstable from where I live. Do I have to stop my video here? Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. Now can everybody see me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Again, where I live, my internet connection can be a little unstable, so I'm glad everybody could see me and hear me. So go ahead.
Yeah, why don't you explain your interest in this appointment to the board, why you want to do it?
Okay, thank you. Like our previous applicant here, just have to go back to my educational background. I do have a degree in geography, which had a focus in environmental sciences from Rhode Island College. From there, I attended the University of Maryland and earned a community planning degree from there, which also had a specialization in environmental planning. Now, when I was down there, I hope this doesn't take any. I hope nobody gets hurt by chance. So please, I hope everybody doesn't get angry. But while I was down in the Washington D.C., I did work for FEMA for 5 years down there as a environmental planning specialist. So again, please hope nobody gets angry at that by chance. I know that does raise a lot of angry eyebrows around here. So please, again.
No.
So there's my little work experience from there. I am somebody who does enjoy the environment very well. I'm an avid hiker. Matter of fact, I was just over here a while ago in the Great Neck area, enjoying the area. But also at the same time, I like to use my, or think of my community planning background and make sure that the town does develop appropriately from a community planning perspective as well. So that is my background. So again, so thank you everybody for at least considering me, and hope it all goes well. Thank you.
Okay. Alan,
Again, thank you for applying. We won't hold your previous job at FEMA against you, since Maxine Waters was the real cause of all our problems out of California.
Thank you.
okay, Patrick,
All set. Thank you again.
Jim,
I'm all set too. Thank you.
Judy?
Thank you.
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Good resume. I'm all set too. May we have a motion to appoint, please?
I will move that we appoint Michael Mercier to an associate position on the Conservation Commission to expire 6/30/2021.
Second.
Okay, motion by Judy, seconded by Patrick. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. 5-0-0 is the vote. And again, the paperwork will be available for you Thursday in the Selectmen's office. Go up there, pick it up, go down to the clerk, get sworn in, and you're on the commission.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everybody.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the final applicant is Lisa Morales. Can we unmute Lisa, please? Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Can you tell us why you're interested in serving on the Conservation Commission?
I've been interested in of balancing, again, the competing interests that aren't necessarily always competing. I have experience. I am a licensed real estate broker, so I understand environmental issues from a homeowners and home sellers and home buyers perspective, including Title V and other things that are affected. I think that the natural resources in Wareham and Onset are our most important drawing point, and if we don't protect those, we really lose a lot in terms of the value of what we really have here. I'm also almost completed my Leave No Trace certification as a trainer with UC Santa Barbara.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Alan?
No, this is going to be difficult for me because I have feelings in both directions. The issue I have is really that the town still has, through the basically inspection services, at least in the Department of Inspection Services, this complaint that's never been, basically fixed or taken care of one way or the other. I'm not making a decision that who is right or wrong, but really it needs to be fixed before I'm willing to put anybody on a licensing board at this particular time. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, Patrick.
No, I'm all set.
Thank you. Jim? Any questions for Ms. Morales?
Yeah, I was just going to speak here. What is the leave no trace certification or coursework you've been taking?
Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics is an educational program to teach anybody who has contact in the front country or the back country the best practices for interacting with the environment. And this is a lot of what I did with 3 years of volunteering with the Boys and Girls Club in Onset. I was running their garden program and teaching the kids about those kinds of practices as well as other environmental issues.
Well, thank you. And I didn't see anything related to beyond what was on your application. So thank you for applying.
Okay. Judy, any questions?
No, I would echo Mr. Slavin's comment about the outstanding violation.
Okay, thank you.
I'm unaware of the status of this. And Mr. Slavin stated last week that he would go with the recommendation of the committee. And the committee, by the way, did approve me unanimously.
Yes, that's the reason I have a problem. I have on one hand, I normally would vote yes, but because the town has the outstanding violation, I really feel if it's taken care of one way or the other, and basically the opening is there, I would vote in favor next time around if that's taken care of.
I'm unaware again of a status of any violation.
As of yesterday, I checked it downstairs and it was still there.
Okay, well, thank you. Is there anything further?
Yeah, again, I don't know where the information came from on the violation. I was not privy to that. I don't know if the rest of yous were, or how you found that information out. I didn't see it on the application or, what I would suggest is to, continue, this until next week, until we can get some, official information sent to us on the status of that, and take a vote on this next week. That would just be my suggestion, because I'm not aware of it. I'm not doubting anyone one way or the other. I'd like to see some documentation on it and see what the issue is personally.
Jim, if you stop down Mr. Aquina's office, it's up on the wall there. It's been there for 2 years.
Well, that's good, but you know, that's.
No problem.
Well, Jim, I'll poll the board on your request. Alan, what do you think?
I have no problem waiting another week if that's what Jim would like.
Judy?
I have no problem waiting a week.
We know what Jim thinks. Patrick?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay, well, there's 3 that have expressed interest in holding off until next week, so I'll go with the majority on this and not ask for a motion, but it will be back on next week for a vote. The interview is concluded, so you know, we know what your qualifications are. Thank you very much for stepping up and applying, and we will take this up again next week for a vote.
You know,
Thank you very much.
I want to say I appreciate you letting me find out about this, you know, and what the issue is and whatnot. I think that's important for all of us to have that type of information. Thanks a lot.
That's fine. Okay, thank you. Jumping back here to our agenda, we got to get the dog hearing going. Yep. Do we have the alleged violating dog's owner here? And that would be
Mr. Mueller.
Mueller.
Or Mueller. Mueller or Mueller. Brendan Mueller. Mueller.
I'm going to scan it. Let's see. We seem to be popular tonight, but I do not see this gentleman here. I will consult with town council. Town council, if the clerk tells me that proper notice was sent and that the green card is back, can we proceed with this hearing without the alleged defendant here?
Well, Mr. Chairman, you certainly could. My advice, however, would be to give the benefit of the doubt to the person who's being charged and give them another chance at a hearing next week. That's just my advice. I'm patterning it after the way the court often handles these sorts of things where someone doesn't appear. Usually they get one free pass, if you will. But the second time around, depending on whether it's criminal or civil, you could end up in the pokey or losing your case. So that's my.
I have a question for him, Mr. Titlebaum.
Yep, go ahead.
Does that mean that we need to resend the certified letter, et cetera, or how would that extra notification be okay?
If you are inclined to give the gentleman a second chance at appearing, I would do it in this manner. First, I'd do a motion to continue the hearing to time, date, and place. I would send a letter to the individual informing him of the continuance to time, date, and place. And I would send that certified as well, perhaps including a warning that failure to appear means a default, and a default means a judgment against him.
Yeah, This is a similar situation when somebody wasn't going to contest what they presumed to be our decision to euthanize a couple of years ago. And we sent a letter advising them of their rights and, strongly encouraging them to participate so as to not lose all their rights at hearing by not showing up. So I'll dig up that letter and we'll get that out to Mr. Muller here.
Then I'll make a motion to continue the hearing.
No, we have to open the hearing first. I didn't do that. So can we have a motion to open the hearing, please?
Yes.
Second.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Rick here. I just saw a message appear at the bottom of my screen saying I am the owner and I've been here the whole time.
Oh, that's Pixel 4XL? No?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Who is it?
Pixel 4XL.
Unmute Pixel 4XL.
Yep. Okay,
Yes, sir.
well, I guess we're not going to delay the hearing. But we need a motion to open it while we're waiting to get him online here. So who made the motion?
Judy.
Judy made the motion and Patrick seconded?
Alan.
Alan.
Alan seconded. Okay, motion by Judy, second by Alan. Roll call vote. Alan.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Judy.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, we have the gentleman with us. Good evening. First off, we need to read the actual complaint letter into the record. Judy, do you want me to do that?
I can do it.
Okay, you've got it
I
available?
do.
And this is the August 27th, 2020 correspondence from Officer Kimball.
Yes, from Josh Kimball to Cassandra Slaney, request for a dangerous dog hearing. Incident number 20-1570-OF, call number 20-37056.
Okay, that's the incident report you're reading off of. We need the letter that's directly above that, which is the complaint of vicious or barking dogs. I'll do it. I've got it right up here.
Okay, I got it too. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Town of Wareham, Department of Natural Resources, complaint of vicious or barking dogs. General Laws, Chapter 140, Section 157, stated October 27th, 2020, to the Honorable Wareham Board of Selectmen. I hereby make complaint that the dogs owned or harbored by Brendan Muller. Is that the correct pronunciation of your name, Mr. Muller? Is he there? How do you pronounce your last name? I want to make sure we pronounce it correctly. Hi, Mr. Muller, am I pronouncing your name right?
He's not, he's still muted.
Yeah,
His
it doesn't
video
show
is
up.
still up.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him as muted. Yeah, we've got to bring him up.
Hit him up with a chat and let him know what's going on. We can't hear him.
Yep.
Can't hear you.
It's on his end.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
No. No, because he doesn't have a mic.
Well, I'll ask him to text.
There it is. There it is.
Okay, is he up?
His
Only
video.
if he's there with a video that's not on. We don't have a mic.
Says he's on his phone. He hasn't turned on the audio on the phone.
Yeah, you've got to go into your into the meeting settings and turn on the audio.
Doesn't matter if he can see us.
Yeah, can you hear us?
I can see everyone, yes.
But we can't hear him, which is a problem.
Right.
He needs to turn on his audio setting and by hitting the black bar at the top of the page.
Are you on Are you on a device too, Patrick, or are you using a laptop?
No, I'm using a laptop, but
Yeah, so am I. So it's different for me than on the phone. Okay, he's up now, and I see his microphone is on mute. Christian or Bob or somebody, could we unmute him?
Hello, is
Hello,
it working?
hello, hello. Okay,
Is it
don't touch anything else. It's working.
perfect.
Am I pronouncing your name correct, Muller?
Yes.
Okay, I'll continue reading the complaint letter into the record. This was sent to Brendan Muller, 81 Pinehurst Drive, Wareham, Mass. 02571. It states the dogs are a danger and nuisance to the public by reason of 2 mixed breed mutt dogs, black in color, are continuously getting loose. Various incidents throughout the summer have occurred where numerous neighbors call about the dogs running loose. Number 2, on October 16th, a Wareham Department of Natural Resources officer responded to the call of loose dogs that had begun barking at a boater, becoming increasingly aggressive, and trapped them on the boat by preventing the boater from coming ashore. Subsequently, while trying to corral the dogs, one had bitten the Department of Natural Resources officer in the left leg. 3, another offense on October 27th, 2020, where the dogs chased a woman while she was out for a walk. I request a dangerous dog hearing to be scheduled before the board, signed under the pains and penalties of perjury. Officer Joshua P. Kimball, number 54, Wareham Department of Natural Resources. So that is the complaint record. At this point, we need to unmask everybody who's a witness here. I know we had Mimi DeMoro and we have William Manguso, so we need to bring them up because we have to swear in all the witnesses.
Josh.
And who is a witness? Please hit the raise hand on the chat function off to the right-hand side of the screen so that I can see who you are and ask the TV station to bring you up.
I have Josh in there too.
Yep, Josh as well. While you're doing that, I'm gonna let my dog out. All right, come on.
No barking.
I'm not seeing anyone come up. They understand they have to click on the chat symbol on the bottom or wherever it is on your screen.
No, they do raise hand.
Yeah, if they click on the chat, then they.
That's right, Peter.
Yep. Okay, so we need to bring Mimi DeMoro up. And I know I see Mr. Manguso doesn't have his mic off, so that's a good sign, but I don't see his video, but that might be his personal choice.
Okay. He needs to do this. Mary Manguso.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so we've got Mary Manguso, we've got William Manguso, we've got Mr. Muller, we've got Joshua Kimball, we've got Ms. DeMoro. I would ask everybody to raise their right hands and repeat after me because I've got to swear you in if you intend to testify. I state your name.
I, William Manguso,
Do solemnly swear to tell the truth,
solemnly swear to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
The whole truth.
whole
and
truth,
nothing but the truth.
nothing but
Nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God. So my God.
Okay. Thank you. You've now been duly sworn. I'm going to turn it over to the Department of Natural Resources representative to testify as to the complaint. Good evening.
Good evening to the Board of Selectmen and the members of the public. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Officer Joshua Kimball of the Department of Natural Resources. And we're here tonight for the dangerous dog hearing in regards to Brandon Muller's dogs. I'm going to read the incident report that I have that I typed up after the incident from myself being bitten by 2 of Mr. Muller's dogs. And I've also got some other call statistics as well that we've responded to Mr. Muller's dogs being loose in the area of Pinehurst Beach. But first, I'll start with the incident report. On October 16th, 2020, at approximately 11:45, I, Officer Joshua Kimball of the Wareham Department of Natural Resources, had received a telephone call for 2 loose dogs in the area of Pinehurst Beach. The caller stated that the 2 dogs were constantly getting loose. I immediately knew right where these dogs belonged to. It was 81 Pinehurst Drive. And I told the caller, who was identified as William Manguso, that I would be on my way. As soon as I hung up my phone from Manguso, the caller ID on my phone stated I had an incoming 911 transfer call from the Emergency Communication Center. I picked up the phone, and a woman who was identified as Miriam DeMauro stated she was trying to come off of her boat and was being harassed and trapped on her boat by 2 loose, aggressive dogs. I told DeMauro that I would be right there. I left the DNR office at the town hall and proceeded to the area. Upon my arrival to where DeMauro's boat is moored, I spotted the 2 loose dogs urinating in a flower bed. The dogs were on the corner of Blue Jay Terrace and Pinehurst Drive. The dogs can be best described as 45 to 60 pound brown black mutts. I exited my cruiser and told the dogs to go home. One of the dogs was slobbering and barking at me. I continued towards the dogs and corralled them into the direction of the residence that they belong at. The dogs were following me with no issues at all. While walking, suddenly one of the dogs became extremely aggressive and lunged at my left hand. I yelled no in the direction of the dog. I then radioed to the deputy director, Officer McGuire, to step it up as the dogs were now becoming increasingly aggressive. The dog then lunged again at my left side, and I punched the dog in the snout. This made the dog even more aggressive, and then the dog ultimately bit my left thigh. The bite was approximately 5 inches away from my knee. I took out my canister of pepper spray to deploy at the dog in the event that he decided to chomp at my leg again, but the dog retreated. I radioed to dispatch that I had been bitten by the dog, but I did not require EMS. At that time, additional patrol division units had arrived in the area, and I also arrived at the residence of 81 Pinehurst Drive and began knocking at the front door. The dogs then started to roam free again while I was at the door, and I knocked on all doors of the residence. I noted that there was another dog tied up in the backyard that was also barking. After numerous knocks at the door, finally someone answered. I asked the man if the dogs roaming around were his dogs, and he stated that they were. He further began to explain that his dogs were supposed to have e-collars on. I then told the man that I had been bitten by his dogs and that he needed to go and secure them. The man, later identified as Brandon Muller, continued to ask me questions while his dogs were running loose. I stated to Muller that we can discuss all of this after he goes and contains his animals. Muller attempted to contain one of the menacing dogs, and another began walking up the street towards the Pinehurst Drive Association clubhouse. I went to retrieve that dog, and it began growling and eventually went back into Muller's backyard. Muller provided me his identification, and I stated to him that he would be receiving a citation for having a loose dog and also unlicensed dogs. They have been in the town greater than 30 days, which we know because of previous call history. I also advised Muller that his dogs needed to be fully contained in the yard by means of a fence or a chain, and that this was the 6th time this year that the Department of Natural Resources had responded for his dogs being loose. Muller was advised that the dogs are going to be placed in a 10-day quarantine due to the bite on me, and I advised him that this information was going to be forwarded to the Board of Selectmen for a dangerous dog hearing, and I would ultimately be recommending euthanasia to the board. Muller stated to myself to go in the house and take them. That was a quote from Mr. Muller. And I advised him that we are going to follow the proper channels and he would be receiving the hearing information in the mail. Muller stated he would go to the veterinarian and voluntarily euthanize the dogs. The citation process was explained to Muller as well. I then left and spoke with Ms. DeMauro, and she stated that she was trying to exit her boat when the dogs were running around loose and acting aggressively, which prompted her call to 911. DeMauro and the other neighbors all stated that this is a constant issue with the dogs. I advised DeMauro and the other neighbors that we would be having a dangerous dog hearing, and I would ultimately be recommending euthanasia. DeMauro and the neighbors that were gathered all stated that they would be in attendance to this hearing if they could make it. At approximately 1:15 p.m., Muller called the police department back and was requesting on how to pay the fine. The call was transferred to my phone, and I advised Muller the instructions to pay the citation were listed on the bottom of such. Muller then stated to me that he is not in the business to kill animals unless he and his family were going to eat it for food. I told Muller that I am also not in the business of killing animals either, but I am in the business of maintaining safety and order for the residents of the town of Wareham that they deserve. I then explained the dangerous dog hearing process to Muller once again, and he stated that he would be moving the dogs out of town and we would not have to worry about them again. I advised Muller that the dog orders are valid throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He then stated to me that he wants to put all of this behind him and pay the citation. Muller then stated to me he would happily provide me a Band-Aid for my wounds and then hung up the phone. In regards to my injuries, it was a left thigh bite mark from the dog's tooth. It did not break any skin. It was approximately about 5 inches up from the backside of my left knee. The area was uncomfortable and red, and I didn't require any EMS treatment. There was no blood drawn, and I also did not require any follow-up medical attention as well. Since then, the wound has healed, and I no longer have any discomfort. And that's the end of my incident report.
Okay. Just, usually we do it a little differently. This time, I'm gonna ask if Mr. Muller has any questions. You have the opportunity, sir, if you want, to cross-examine every witness here. That's part of the due process that's allowed in this hearing. So I would ask if you have any questions, or if there is anything that Officer Kimball just stated that you wish to dispute, now would be the time to do it.
I don't know if they can hear me.
Oh, that's cool.
No, we can hear you.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
You're good.
No, I mean, everything Mr. Kimball said was a little far-fetched, but I mean, it's pretty accurate. Keep in mind too that the dogs at the time of this, well, I guess what you guys call up here incidents, they're only 6 months old puppies, so their minds aren't quite fully developed as far as listening and understanding commands from an aggressive assailant. So I want the town to realize that these are adolescent puppies, or in some cases, children in the minds of some folks up here in this town. That's all I have to say in response to Mr. Kimball.
Okay, thank you. I will then, let's see, why don't we go to Mr. Manguso, Mr. William Manguso?
Yep.
Why don't you tell us what you know about what happened that day?
Yeah. I was in the driveway, in my driveway, and I saw the dogs go by loose. It's not the first time, for sure. So I didn't really react to it, but I went back to my backyard where my deck is, looking out over the water. I saw the dogs go down Blue Jay Terrace, and a couple of minutes later, I looked out from my deck down at the water, and Mimi and Russ Damaro were in their boat trying to come ashore. I can see them right from my deck. And they're looking around, and I can see the dogs jumping. I mean, there's a seawall there, but I saw the dogs jumping around. I saw them go to the right, around, out of sight, and then back. And then they're in their boat. They can't get out. So I'm trying to call whoever I called, 911, and trying to get that in. And I think somebody else was also calling at the same time, from what the way the dispatcher was talking, because she said, are these the dogs from 81? And I said, yep, those are the dogs. So that's what I saw. I then, I went inside, and I came around, and I saw that there were several cruisers right up at the corner of my house, which is at the corner of Blue Jay and Pinehurst. And I saw the officer. I don't know how he did it, but he was simply walking them down to 81. by giving them verbal commands, which was an amazing feat in my view. But that's basically what I saw.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Mr. Muller, you have an opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Manguso if you want.
Yeah, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can. If you
Okay.
have questions for him, please go ahead and ask them.
My only question is, Mr. Manguso, have you ever seen the dogs physically harm any children, male or female adults, or any elderly members of Pinehurst? Physically seen them assault or hurt anyone in Pinehurst or ever?
Nope.
Okay, that just to let the town know that that's the only question I had for Mr. Manguso.
Okay, thank you. Questions for this witness from the board? Alan? No? Your mic's off, Alan, but I read your lips. Patrick?
No.
Patrick, any questions? Patrick, I can't see your face because of the angle of the thing and your mic's off.
No questions.
No questions, thank you. Jim, any questions?
And this is for who, Mr. Manguso?
Yes, this is for the witness, Mr.
No,
Manguso.
thank you.
Okay, Judy?
Yes, I just have a couple. You, Mr. Manguso, you said that this was not the first time. Can you tell me approximately how many times you remember seeing the dogs loose?
Several. 3, maybe 4 times.
Over what period of time, sir?
Over the last, before this period of about, over the summer, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't have any questions for this witness. Thank you. Let's see, I think we have Ms. DeMoro up next, if we could.
Hey, Peter, I just had one question.
Oh, you do have a question? Okay, go ahead.
Just one quick one.
Yeah.
Where are the dogs now?
That would be for Officer Kimball, or would that be for Mr. Muller?
For Mr. Muller.
Okay, Mr. Muller, if you could answer that?
In my custody.
Okay.
They're in your custody. You have them at 81 Pinehurst now?
They're in my custody.
Okay, thank you.
Ask me what's the pizza.
So do we have Ms. DeMoro? You need to turn your mic on, or we need to turn your mic on, but somebody needs to turn your mic on. Okay, you're good.
Present.
Hi. Why don't you tell us what you observed this day in relation to the incident with the dogs?
Okay, well, the officer succinctly told what went on, but my husband and I were in our skiff attempting to come in to shore. As we were unloading the skiff to come in, I didn't even see the dogs at that point, but my husband yelled to me, "Get back in the boat." There's dogs on the beach that are running back and forth, aggressively looking at you. At one point, they were growling and showing their teeth. The hair on the back of their necks were up. Tail was straight up. Quite frankly, not particularly a dog person. We don't own pets, but I am a real estate agent, so I do come across dogs that are unknown to me here and there. So I am aware of what can happen with a loose dog and how to try and attempt to either engage or disengage with them. Both of us remained in the boat. My husband got back in the boat. I remained in the boat. This was over about, I would say, a 6 or 7 minute period. The dogs went back and forth on the beach. They went back up on the right of way. They went back up on, I believe it's number 2 Blue Jay seawall. Around the corner, came back again. And during all of this time, it was basically mayhem. They were barking and just, I don't really know how to describe it, but back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like they were out and they were showing us that they were out. At the same time, I was getting text messages from other neighbors that were witnessing this, including my brother-in-law who lives across the cove from me on Pinehurst, who had a similar experience in the month of September. So being aware that these dogs have been out a number of times over the summer, I only have documentation of 5 times that I know of, but that's only what I know of based on either personal experience or being messaged by other neighbors in the neighborhood, as we all are concerned about any loose dogs in the neighborhood. And I just want to, for the record, state that I'm not in favor of any dog being put down. However, I am very concerned that we as adults were trapped in our boat and concerned about our safety and how to get out, let alone should any of the kids in the neighborhood or adults in the neighborhood. We have a lot of people walking dogs in the neighborhood, and we have kids that run around in the summertime unattended without parents. So my main concern is safety for the neighborhood. I'm sorry that we're all in this position. I wish that these dogs never got off leash and we didn't have to have this discussion.
Okay, thank you.
welcome.
Mr. Muller, do you have questions for this witness?
Ma'am, have you ever seen any of the neighborhood children walk these dogs before?
Not that I've never seen anybody walk them. I've only seen these dogs being looked for by, I assume it's you, I can't see your face, you or the people who own the home that you live in. I have seen you try and corral the dogs and, you know, out with other people. I don't know, maybe a gray van I've seen a couple of times. I don't know if it's a neighbor. I'm just not that familiar with all the people in the neighborhood, but I have seen you try and retrieve the dogs on a couple of occasions.
Okay. Have you ever seen the dogs riding in any golf carts with any of the neighborhood children?
No.
Okay. Have you ever seen the dogs in our yard playing with other children?
No.
Okay. I have no further questions for you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your testimony. I'll turn it over to the board to see if they have questions for you. Alan?
You're welcome.
No.
Okay, Patrick?
All set, thank you.
Okay, Jim?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Judy?
I just want to ask one question. You have personal experience of at least 5 times having seen these dogs loose?
I do, either having seen them or reported through neighbors or on Facebook. You know, the people are notifying other neighbors through our association Facebook page. I have one on September 19th. I have one on October 11th, one on October 16th, which was my incident. I have one on October 18th, and I have another on October 27th.
Okay, so of those, how many of those were yours personally?
I witnessed on the 11th. I witnessed obviously on the 16th, and I witnessed on the 27th.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions for you, ma'am. Thank you for your testimony.
You're very welcome.
Let's see. Now I would say, Mr. Muller, you have an opportunity to testify directly in defense of your dogs. I think you've heard the Department of Natural Resources officer say that he intended to recommend euthanasia. So I think you should keep that in mind while you talk to us.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I want the town or state, let it be known that, keep in mind, these dogs are country dogs. They are and have been in my custody since they were been nursed by a bottle. When I arrived at 81 Pinehurst, I was on vacation, enjoying my summertime with my family here. I brought my dogs with me. A couple of the children in the neighborhood saw puppies, and just like most children in the neighborhood, flocked to puppies and, you know, small dogs or cats or any kind of critter. And they enjoy that, I guess, relationship. My family has children living on, young children living as our neighbors on all four sides, well, actually on two sides of us, have been asked several times, can we come into your yard and play with your dogs? Can we borrow your leashes and walk the puppies around the neighborhood? I've had families approach me and ask if they can ride with us in the golf carts. I've seen golf carts. I believe most families here in Pinehurst seen families drive by with infants or with their infants pushing them down the car or down the road in their baby carriages, wanting their babies to play, infants play with these dogs. I can understand your concerns as far as the dogs getting loose. However, you're also determining the factor of breaking children's hearts in the community as far as euthanizing innocent puppies. As some of the witnesses stated, that dogs have gotten loose on numerous occasions, but no one has been physically, well, other than Mr. Kimball stating that he was a little aggressive towards the animal, but only receiving the same aggression back, but with minimal wounds. These are family-oriented dogs, and they're still being trained as family-oriented dogs. The families on Pinehurst who visit during the summer times and are here 24/7 enjoy the company of these dogs and want to come by and play with them. We've raked leaves recently, and the kids want to jump with the dogs in the leaves. I want to go forward with this and let the town know that the dogs have had their vaccinations, and also have a letter here from the Sandwich Animal Hospital, which I can provide to the town hall for all or who need to see. The doctor's name is William Bedford from the Sandwich Animal Hospital on Route 6A, East Sandwich, Massachusetts. This licensed PDH doctor states that he found both of these dogs friendly, and though a little shy during these visits for their vaccination of rabies and all things that they have received, influenza, things like that. So these are trying times for all of us. I just want you guys to know that this is a licensed doctor who wrote this, and not some, this is from a licensed doctor. I would like to provide all documentation for the town and people to see this. On 10/27, these dogs have received, they're receiving some sort of counseling, and also too, we have purchased a fenced-in area. I have received a letter from the town of Wareham to provide a fenced-in gated area for the dogs. Also, a more secure defense shock collar that can only be bought not from Walmart, but from a high-end retailer. So these are not something to play with. These dogs know their boundaries, and they're learning them every day. So I asked the town of Wareham to really reconsider, are they really vicious when children ages 8 months and up are playing with these dogs on our property, and also people walking into our house 70 plus years old and not getting assaulted, but licked to death and wanting love and attention from their neighbors. So take this with a grain of salt, if you will. I'm not from Massachusetts. I'm just a good old country boy from Virginia. I'll really reconsider what you're thinking and planning.
Go get 2 tours in Afghanistan. You should get to look at them.
Thank you for that impassioned defense of your animals. I'll go around the board and ask if they have any questions for you following that testimony. Alan?
So currently now, are you restraining the dogs inside your yard, or they still can get loose?
The dogs are under severe supervision. I actually bought a surveillance camera for the property. If the dogs were released, I will be aware of it immediately. Also, too, there is a chip within inside the dogs I'll know at all time, and there is a gated 10 by 10 fence that I purchased across from the Wareham Police Department at a local vendor.
So my question is, are the dogs basically confined to the yard or not?
Yes.
So they don't get loose at all now?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, Patrick, questions for Mr. Mueller?
Well, I really don't have any questions as such. I mean, I'm a little concerned about the fact that the incident happened sometime in the middle of October, yet there was another incident of the dogs getting out on October 27th. Personally, I don't think this rises to the level of having dogs euthanized, but I think that certainly they're going to have to be maintained on the property, walked with a leash, the whole 9 yards, because this is to me, as soon as you had this problem, you should have immediately made sure that the dogs didn't get out of the yard anymore. We have a leash law here. I'm sure you know that. I'm sure you've known right along. And the dogs aren't even licensed, which is also a problem. They should have been licensed as well. And you were told on the like sometime, I forgot what the date was. Maybe it was the 18th or whatever. It was the middle of October. But by the 27th, they were out loose again. And there were issues again, and that shouldn't have happened. You should have gone the extra mile to make sure that didn't happen again. Dogs need to stay on that property, and I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to make sure they stay on the property, or then it'll rise to another level. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Jim, questions for Mr. Mueller?
Yeah, had you been visited by the Department of Natural Resources related to the dogs running loose and that it wasn't allowed?
Many times.
I'm asking Mr. Mueller.
I personally have not, other than Mr. Kimball. My family that lives here may have been approached, but I personally have not. So the only person that I've talked to underneath that statue would probably Mr. Kimball.
Okay, thank you.
And you have a 10 by 10 enclosure. Anything else? Is a yard fenced in beyond that, or?
No, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Judy, questions for Mr. Mueller?
Yes. You say, Mr. Mueller, that several people have, played with the dogs and asked to walk the dogs and everything. Why do you not have any testimony from any of those individuals? Why are none of them here to speak on your behalf? Or why do you not have letters of support from those individuals?
Well, ma'am, I didn't think this was going to escalate into what this is. If I needed to go and talk to these families, I'd be more than happy to provide a letter from those families. I think some families just keep to themselves. I mean, this is a private community. A lot of families like to keep to themselves, but we also work together. And I think that's what most towns and communities like to do. And see, that's just my personal opinion. Some people like to come together in unity as a group, kind of like a family. So if something happens, the whole town should come together and discuss it like we're doing now. So I can strongly recommend or have someone write. I do have a doctor's recommendation. And the dogs now have been licensed in Wareham, Massachusetts. I just wanted to make that known. But no, I didn't get documentation from these families, but I'd be more than happy to provide or a letter from them.
You were noticed on November 5th that you were having this hearing, sir. Why were the dogs not licensed prior to this?
Well, like I said, I didn't go jumping into the state of Massachusetts laws. That's just not my I guess this is not where my career idea was headed. I'm not from this area. I do apologize. But now, because it's escalated to this, I'm very aware of the situation and have taken the proper procedures on to prevent this.
I see that you are from Lynchburg, Virginia. Are you telling me that there are no leash laws or dog laws in the Commonwealth of Virginia?
Well, Bedford, Virginia, and there is in the city. The dog has to be in the city. But growing up as a boy, we used to have them on a run, or, you know, if the dog gets out, it's up to the owner's discretion. If the dog gets out, well, you know, if the dog gets run over or something, I'm sure Lynchburg has laws, but these dogs weren't in Lynchburg.
When did you acquire the dogs? You said you moved to Massachusetts with the dogs. You had them wherever you were prior to being at 81 Pinehurst. Where was that?
Right. I was in West Virginia. I was working at a sawmill in West Virginia as an IT engineer.
And the dogs, you acquired them when you were in West Virginia?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you owned dogs before?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You stated earlier in answer to a question, I believe from Mr. Slavin, or maybe it was Mr. Teitelbaum, where are the dogs? You said they are in your custody. Where physically are the dogs?
They are in their beds.
At what address, sir?
Oh, they are with me here at 81 Pinehurst Drive in a carry-on crate.
Thank you. And do you dispute the facts as stated on the record that these dogs have been loose at least 5 times?
To my understanding and being the dog owner, I can give you an honest answer that they have got loose from this property 4 times. Because I'm the one that had to chase them. So 4 times.
4 times to your knowledge. Are you there at all time at 81 Pinehurst?
When I'm not here, those dogs are in a crate until I get home.
I'm done, Mr. Teitelbaum.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. I'm hearing a little bit of cultural dissonance. Somebody coming from Virginia, where you know, you let your dog out in the morning and you'll let them back in at night, and you know, God knows what they're up to in the meantime, and that's okay culturally down there. You know, in a rural environment. You're currently residing in a densely populated summer area. You know, some of the smallest house lots in town. So it's a different environment up here, which is why we deal with dogs a little bit differently than what you might be used to down there. Simply because, you know, we're closer together. Your dogs can get into more trouble in a well-populated environment. So I think that's part of what's going on here. But I would ask the animal control officer, natural resources officer rather, what say you to the notion that something short of euthanasia could work here? What do you say to that notion?
I absolutely think that it could work. If the dogs did not, you know, if they were not ordered to be put down, if we issued the same boilerplate conditions that we have before for prior dog hearings, I think I would hope that would work, and that the dogs would remain secure at all times. But in addition to that, I would also say that we put the dogs on that probation period for 2 years, and then also make sure after the 2 years is up that Mr. Mueller is in compliance with his order. But one thing that I did want to mention was that Mr. Mueller stated that he has a 10 by 10 enclosure, and that's sufficient for 1 dog under the Massachusetts state law. So you have to have 100 square feet minimum for each dog. So if he's going to have 2 dogs in that crate, it's going to be 20 by 20 if he's going to have them outside. The other thing that I would recommend, if euthanasia was not going to be ordered by the board, that the dogs be restrained by a person who is 18 years or older at all times while being walked, and that they are muzzled as well, humanely.
Mr. Titlebaum, may I add something, sir?
Yeah, I'm jotting down Officer Kimball's recommendations here, which is 2 enclosures if 10 by 10. 18-year-old to walk with a muzzle. Judy, what were you looking to say?
I'm looking to say that according to the internet, Virginia has had a leash law for years, and specifically Lynchburg has had a leash law since 1984. Mr. Mueller, on at least the identification for the police report, says that Lynchburg is his home address. Lynchburg has had a leash law requiring owners to have their dogs on a leash or otherwise constrained to their property since 1984.
Yeah, I'm guessing enforcement isn't a huge priority down there.
And then in 2017, there's an article about a dog fatally attacking another dog in the city. And so it may be culturally different, but the laws are the same.
Okay, your point is noted. Well, what do we think, folks? Jim?
Well, I think I was just looking at the town clerk's website under what a definition of a dangerous dog. And although Officer Kimball was bitten, I don't know the seriousness of the injury as defined in our own documentation. The dogs are young, and I would say confinement in an adequate area, and that being, I think those are probably 6 or 8 foot high chain link fence enclosure that you have, and you'd need 200 square feet if it's 100 per dog, not 400 square feet. And not just being fair to the dog. I agree with, walked by an adult, a leash of only, 3 to 5 foot long. The individual would either need to agree to all this and to be approved, everything he does approved by the Department of Natural Resources, or to put the dogs into a no-kill shelter and cover the costs necessary for that. That's what I would like to see moving forward, one way or the other. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Alan? Thoughts on how to dispose of this matter?
Yeah, just so people know, David Moore sent in a little chat, I believe. Mr. Moore is a former director of special services in Wareham. I believe he's the president of the Pinehurst Beach Association, just as a background as well. He did ask how many chances. I'm not even going to consider, obviously, euthanasia, because I don't think it really merits anywhere close to that. My problem has always been with the owners of animals that basically it sometimes maybe shouldn't have animals at all because they don't take it seriously enough, the consequences and the responsibilities. I would actually be satisfied only with probably, the yard's not very big in Pinehurst. The houses are pretty, the lots are small. And I think because of the way things are, which is fair for the dogs as well, but looking at their health long-term, is that the yard itself be fenced in with a fence that meets the normal requirements that we have. And, basically, constrain the dogs to be out walking, they have to be on a leash, etc. Everything else is fine. But it just seems that there's not enough responsibility to the owner to make me secure that he's going to take care of the dogs. And even in a 200 square foot area for 2 dogs, that's not a way for dogs to live. Thank you.
Okay, under our bylaw, the restrictions that we would typically impose for an at-risk dog would just be that we're not under the direct control of a controlling person, and that would, in this instance, somebody who's over 18, with a leash, muzzle, so on and so forth. The dog shall be contained within a building, vehicle, or secure enclosure. It doesn't, it talks about a secure enclosure, Alan. It doesn't talk about fencing in and creating a dog paradise, for example, such as I have at my property. And then it says also that with consideration given to recommendations from the Animal Control Officer, the hearing authority, which is us, may order any or all of the following, which is microchip identification or behavior training. I believe I heard Mr. Muller say that the dogs were getting some training. Is that correct, sir?
Both actually, the chip and the training.
Very good.
Okay, so we have chip and training. The list I've got here so far says that, you would have to have 2 enclosures per, what Officer Kimball said about the requirements for outdoor enclosures for dogs in the state. An 18-year-old would need to walk the dog. When the dogs were being walked or were off your premises in any way, they need to have a muzzle. Chip and training. Officer Kimball, is there anything you would seek to add to that?
No, but I did just see a chat pop up from someone. Timothy's iPad stated, "What about the constant barking?" And I just want to make a comment to that. We have never received a complaint of Mr. Muller's dogs barking. We have received a complaint of the dogs being loose. So to Timothy's iPad, I would recommend that if it does continue to happen, we do have a bylaw for barking dogs. And I would recommend to call the Animal Control Department and leave us a message, or call the Natural Resources Office during business hours, or the Police Department after hours, and let us know about that so that we can document it, and then we can go forward to investigate that issue. But tonight, that barking issue is not brought to the table.
Right, yeah, that's not before us tonight. Further, we do have a noise bylaw that, means you shouldn't be causing noise that it can be heard 150 feet or less from your property, during quiet hours at night. So that's something else for you to consider, Mr. Muller.
Mr. Titlebaum, I have
yes.
In Mr. Kimball's written report, he states that Mr. Muller said that he was going to be taking the dogs out of town. Stated he would be moving the dogs out of town and we would not have to worry about them. And in previous part of the report, he said, well, he would have the dogs euthanized. And
doesn't sound like that's the plan right now, does it?
No, I think that Mr. Mueller's affect is not one of any remorse. I haven't heard him say that he's sorry that the dogs caused any of these problems to any of the people who have testified, or that the 5, 7, or however many times they've been out. His manner to Mr. Kimball, at least according to Mr. Kimball's testimony, is, well, I'm going to do this, well, I'm going to do that, well, I'm going to do this. I am concerned that that the behavior that has been evidenced by the owner does not speak to the responsibility of the owner.
Well, to that point, remember when they're given the at-risk designation, that sticks for 2 years. And so any ongoing issues, and Mr. Muller's right back dealing with us, only it's, it's elevated a level because now we're up to second offense level, if you will. So I would hope that he understands that, if this board votes to declare the dogs at risk or dangerous even, conditions will be applied, conditions will have to be met. Otherwise, there are escalations under the law that take place. So I would hope that he would be cognizant of that.
Well, it seems to me that, specifically after the boat incident, I will say, there were at least 2 other incidents, and he hasn't, in my opinion, Mr. Muller hasn't evidenced responsibility for 2 animals that only know what they're taught.
Okay. I'll go to Jim. Any further thoughts on conditions, restrictions, so forth?
No. I mean, I'd like to just, I guess when we're done asking questions, just hear from Mr. Mueller and what his intents are. And I don't know how big the yard is. I don't know what he has for.
Don't know is one of the dogs bit one of the dogs in the house.
Again, I don't know how much space they have and how much time he has on for them. And that's a personal decision, but it makes it difficult for us to have to sit through this and try to make a decision on, who and what and why. And so to be cognizant of that and consider your neighbors and what everyone's going through here. Thank you.
Okay. Patrick, anything to add?
No, I'm all set. I think the 2-year designation is sufficient on this. I'm going to say that the gentleman will follow the plan. If he doesn't, he'll be back in front of us, and then a different standard will be put in place. So there's nothing else we can do at that point. But at least at this point, I think that standard is a good one to use.
Okay. And just to confirm, through you, Officer Kimball, would you be in favor of an at-risk designation where the conditions would be as follows: two 10-by-10 enclosures if he's going to go that route. The 18-year-olds walk dogs with muzzle, the chip and the training. And
yeah, so he doesn't have to have two separate enclosures. He can have, if he puts one dog in that 10-by-10, that's good. If he puts the two dogs in that 10-by-10, then he's in violation of the confinement law. So he's got to have that, however many dogs realistically that he's going to have in there. He has to follow the chapter and section for the confinement of the law.
Okay.
But yes, I would be in favor of that recommendation, absolutely. But I would make it a point to everyone who's in attendance for the hearing, as well as to the board, that we will absolutely 100% investigate any complaint of loose dogs in the town, as we would. And if the board does put the restrictions on Mr. Muller's dogs, that the first incident that happens again, we will be back in front of the Board of Selectmen, and I will follow all of the entirety of the dangerous dog law, which would be impoundment of the animals upon violation of the dangerous dog hearing.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mueller, anything to add to this?
At this point, I appreciate everyone's thoughts and concerns. I want to, going back to the other lady, the board members and concerned townsfolk, I want to assure you that I'd like to work together with everyone and not be a villain or a victim of anything. I'd like to be a part of your community and work together with you guys. I don't want to be an outcast, and I don't want to be seen as an outcast. If you were offended or if my dogs have frightened you, I apologize. Keep in mind, they're only puppies until they're adults. But by the time they're adults, I want them to know that their place in this town is to respect the people in the community. So I can assure everyone here that I'm going to take every steps and guidelines that I need to and respect the laws of Massachusetts and the town of Wareham. I would like to work together with everyone and not be of such a villain, it feels like, but a member of your community, if you'll have me. I want to thank everyone for their time tonight and hearing this thing. I do want to, any paperwork that I have for the dogs, I would like to post publicly to the town of Wareham. Any persons that have had a good relationship with the dogs. I would like them also to step forward and let the town know if this is actually going to be live on TV. I would like for these people to be honorable and step forward and let these other folks know your relationship with these loving and caring dogs. That's all I have to say, and I want to thank everyone for their time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything further from anyone at this point?
Yes, I'd like to just have a couple of comments. I don't think the Pinehurst community looks at you as a villain or a victim. I was a victim, so I understand being the victim. Are you planning, I know you said you came on vacation for the summer, are you planning on taking residency in Wareham? And also, at the time of my incident, were the dogs vaccinated and so on? Because I obviously have concerns that I know they are now, but with the friendliness of all the kids in the neighborhood with the dogs, obviously I'd be heartbroken to see if, in fact, any of these kids, unfortunately, maybe the dogs didn't take a good turn with them. And I think their families, as well as you, would be heartbroken. So my only question is, are you a resident of Wareham now? And are you part of our community? I know that an email was sent out by the president of the association to notify everybody of this hearing, and the posting from the website for the Selectmen's office was distributed as well. So I think everybody had an opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if you would like to respond to the question about your future plans, I guess. Mr. Muller.
I want everyone in this town to realize that I've actually been hired unemployment, or I have a career job at this time. I'm a repair technician for all of your grocery stores from South Shore all the way down to the Cape.
You're not going anywhere soon then?
I want to make sure that we all can eat. So if those registers go down, you guys know who you pick on.
Okay. Well, we'll bring you back for that hearing some other time. Okay, can we get a motion that contains the following conditions? Secure outdoor enclosure. Well,
You want to close the hearing first? You want to close the hearing first?
Go ahead. Yeah, we'll close the hearing.
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
Motion to close the hearing by Patrick, seconded by Judith. Roll call vote. Alan. Okay, I'll take the lip reading as a yes. You don't have your mic on. Patrick.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Judy.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, the hearing's closed.
Could they mute all those people now before we vote?
Yes.
No, they haven't.
Well, they need
to.
to.
They're in the process.
Okay.
Yeah, they have.
No.
Okay, good.
We're fine, Judy. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
A secure enclosure, 18-year-old walking, muzzle, chip, and training.
Yep. So moved.
Okay.
I'll second it, but I'd like to know what the designation. Is it a dangerous dog or
at risk?
At risk.
That's the 2-year designation. Dangerous follows you for life unless we repeal the dangerous designation, or a court does for us. Okay, we have a motion by Patrick, seconded by Judy. Any further discussion?
I'll just make a comment that I'll probably go along with it, but I don't feel the enclosure for the 2 dogs as provided for is really sufficient for the dogs as well as for the town, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. Alan, on the motion?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Muller, you will receive a letter from the board reiterating these conditions. Go forward, take care of your dogs, and get them to realize that at 6 months old, they're not the kings of the world just yet. Dealing with adolescent dogs. I know it's a challenge sometimes.
Thank you, everyone, for your opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Officer Kimball, for your testimony, and thanks to the witnesses as well for coming forward. These hearings are never really fun, but you know, it's part of the process of what we do to keep the town safe, and I'd like to thank everybody involved in that. So let's jump back here on the agenda. I think we didn't quite get through our board comments. We had Alan. I'll start with Patrick.
I'm all set.
Jim.
I'm good right now. Thank you.
Yep. Judy.
Nope, I'm all set.
I don't have anything either. So let's jump down to the licenses and permits. If you'll make your motions for the ones that have the proper paperwork.
Yep, I move the renewal of Rancho Inc., DBA Liquor Locker Inc., the manager at 3021 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, for an all alcoholic beverage license for the year 2021 under the provisions of Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve the license by Judy, seconded by Patrick. Roll call vote. Alan.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Judy.
Yes.
Myself, yes, 500.
The second motion I'm going to make is going to be inclusive of 3 names. I move that we authorize, that we issue the license, Common Vic all alcoholic beverage license for the year 2021 under the provisions of Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Law to number 1, Barnacle Bob's Inc., DBA Barnacle Bob's and or BB's at 2424 Cranberry Highway, Wareham. Number 2, FC Roman numeral 2, DBA Fan Club Inc., 2859 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham. And number 3, Hadley Macintosh Enterprises, DBA The Stonebridge, 5 East Boulevard, Onset.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Judy to approve those 3, seconded by Alan. Roll call vote. Alan.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yep.
Jim.
Yes.
Judy.
Yes.
And myself, yes, 500. Okay, so that takes care of the liquor licenses. Town business.
Just
COVID-19 update, please.
Before we go to that, Peter,
Yeah.
just make a comment. We have an article, for town meeting about, basically banning, the single serve nip bottles, etc. The city of Boston was basically awarded a bylaw that was passed, which basically states that any new liquor license, they can restrict and not sell nips. What we're trying to do is just find a way to get something happening. What I'd like to see is with the liquor stores themselves who sell, is to band together as a group and go to the state and ask that the bottle bill be expanded for a deposit on, water bottles and also on the nip bottles. We don't have the ability to do that, nor do we have the ability to enact anything like that as a board of selectmen. I would ask them to reach out to their elected officials at the state level to see if basically the bottle bill can be expanded, if they're that concerned about a loss of income if they can't sell nips anymore. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, COVID-19 update. Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we've had 23 more new confirmed cases and 2 probable cases in the last 6 days. 75 confirmed cases in the past 25 days. So so the confirmed cases for October were 55. We have now had 132 new confirmed cases since September 1st. Of the 132 cases, 78 confirmed cases, 1 probable case are currently being followed on isolation. All identified close contacts are also on quarantine for 14 days. And here's something people really need to understand. Even if a close contact gets tested, which, that's strongly recommended, they still must complete the 14 full days of quarantine. So if they get tested and come back negative, they still must stay in quarantine. So I think that's one of the big things that people don't quite understand yet, as far as some of the quarantine. So if you look at it, we're, for the past, 25 days, we've been averaging three cases a day. And it's really started to increase to a little bit, almost close to 4 a day. I think we're in the back
Yellow.
in the yellow, through the new system that they have. So it's we're getting a lot of the cases, and it's just, I don't think anybody didn't tell us we would get a second spike, once the season changed. So the best thing we can do is wear our masks, try and be safe, and limit our contact. And we're getting into the time of year where it's really difficult. It's the biggest time for families, and we need to really consider how we're going to handle it, because these we're talking some town halls, they're actually shifting to A and B programs for their employees, just because they know this time of year, once you hit Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's going to be larger exposure. So we really, we need to just make sure that we're being careful. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I would reiterate that too. We've got the two probably biggest holidays of the year for family gatherings coming up. And we all want to think, well, it's, so-and-so, it's the grandchildren, it's this, it's that, their family, what could be, we don't want to view family as the enemy, but, each and every one of us right now on this planet, and the 7 billion plus of us, every single other person is a potential enemy. That means your wife can bring the disease home to you, your husband can bring the disease home to you, your kids in school can bring the disease home to you. Large family gatherings, if you can't do them, I would almost say outside, you really need to think very carefully about how you want to celebrate these holidays. Because I'll be honest with you, in 2020, the goal is like the NCAA tournament. We don't care about style points. You need to survive and move on. And, move on to next year, move on to when there's hopefully a vaccine available, and, move on to enjoy, the rest of your life. It's not worth it to risk large gatherings right now. It just isn't worth it for people. So please take heed. I know it's difficult. I know it's burdensome when people ask you to not get together with family, but it's really the safest advice anybody could give you. So thank you. Thank you for the update.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
South Coast itself put new restrictions in again today about visitors and the number of people who can accompany you into the emergency room, that kind of thing. So the hospital, the health system has gone right back down to basically a shutdown.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. And that's another indication that the virus is running pretty rampant. Right. So, please take heed. Refuse update. Wow, I don't see anybody jumping this week. No news or?
Well, let's see. We have a meeting tomorrow, the Carver, Marion, Wareham Regional Refuse District. I think I don't know if we've signed a lease agreement, but the basic framework is done. I believe hopefully we've signed the disposal agreement with Covanta. I think we're moving in a good direction. Mr. Sullivan's on top of everything as far as related to process for moving forward on distribution of stickers or curbside collection when we actually get to that point. So I'll let him take it from here, because he's a man in the know on that.
Yeah, no, we're just continuing getting everything up and running for it. I know people are asking for information. The goal is to get all the information out in one set. So this piecemeal or trying to go back and forth, it isn't going to work. So let us set up the operations. Our goal is to have a web portal set up for people that wish to opt out to the transfer station. We know the number one goal is to have that transfer station up and running, and then the curbside can come along a little later, as folks already have most of the curbside folks have a private hauler There may be some that switch over, but we'll work through everybody through the process. Timing, as we've said, is not ideal, so we're implementing a 2-year program in 2 months. So,
Yeah.
so when you ask for an update, it's
Yeah.
And I think if I'm correct, Mrs. Whiteside, is there a Board of Health meeting tomorrow at 4?
Yes, it's either 4:30 or 4. I have the.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah.
I can't be at 2 places at once, so I'll stay there while I can. I don't know what we can really tell them beyond what we've told them already. I
Right.
don't know what their position is related to what we're doing. And they have to talk with their directors and the personnel. So I just wanted to say, I don't think there's a lot we can tell them besides we're moving forward in the manner that we've discussed this evening.
Right.
If I remember, we just asked that they keep it on their agenda as just in case item. I don't know that they were specifically looking for a report.
Right.
We'd ask them just to have it on there.
I think that's correct.
Thank you.
Okay,
We're good here.
thank you both for your continued work on this. Okay, application from Wareham Garden Club for signs.
Yes, we have an application from Wareham Garden Club to place signs on town property, and all of the paperwork is in order. So I would move that we grant the application from the Wareham Garden Club.
Second.
Okay, motion for
Can
signs.
can I promote the event?
Well, not ordinarily, but sure, whatever. You would have done it under citizens' comments, so.
No, just that the Wareham Garden Club is going to have a fair. It will be held outside, social distanced, and we'll be focusing on our greenery, our wreaths, our boxwood trees, our greens. There'll be no baked goods or cookies. So please promote us and come visit us on Saturday, December 5th from 9 to 12 and help promote the garden club. Thank you.
Alan, you missed an opportunity to move your mouth while Sandy was speaking.
I can't win no matter what I do. It doesn't matter.
He's done enough of that in his life already. Okay, let's see. We have ratify a hiring
I don't think you called for a poll vote.
on what?
The
My
application.
signs.
Huh?
We made a motion. You have to now take a roll call vote
What was your motion?
to approve.
Oh, good Lord, losing my mind. Yeah. So we have a motion and a second?
Yes.
All right, Alan.
Sandy says yes.
Okay. Patrick,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
myself, yes. Okay, good. We're past that.
Okay. I move to ratify Sandra Malley as a part-time communications officer for the Wareham Police Department.
Second.
Okay, motion to ratify by Judy, seconded by Patrick. Any questions or anything? Roll call vote. Alan,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yep.
Jim,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
myself, yes. Okay, that's done. Continue discussion of votes to recommend warrant articles for the 2020 fall town meeting. Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah, so I think this is because it's 2020 update. We were informed by the Department of Revenue that the fall town meeting, which has been pushed back to December 28th, they're going to require, because that's financial articles, that town meeting to be over before they'll allow us to set the tax rate, which would allow us basically no time whatsoever to set the tax rate. So we're going to, their recommendation was to move the town meeting back, if you will, so that we can establish it and take care of those financial articles. And what they're saying is any financial article that's outstanding, that will need to be taken care of in any town meeting before we can set the tax rate. So, well, I said, there are free cash transfers. None of them have to do with our appropriation, raise and appropriate. Even we just have one placeholder for unpaid bills from which we have none. And they said, no, they're still taking the view that town meeting could raise and appropriate. So it really puts us in a bind. In other words, we don't effectively operate without getting this done. So it would be my recommendation that we reach out to the moderator and see about moving this backward, this town meeting, if you will. And maybe this Thursday we can get with her, maybe Rich, myself, the chairman, to try and go over this and figure it out. I apologize to the confusion for the community. I know this has got to be very confusing for the residents, but this is the best way for us to continue our operations. Since I've been here, we've never not set our tax rate on time. So, and it's not what we're, I don't see us failing to do that now. We're not the only community impacted. They've turned down a couple other communities. I believe there's at least 5 in the same boat as us. And it's unfortunate because we knew there was nothing about the budget on there. So there'd be no issue with it being pushed back. We said that beforehand, but this is coming out a bit from left field. And, since day one, what I've learned, when the DOR tells you to do something, do it.
Yeah, in going through the warrant that, we're operating under, which was the one that was the meeting originally scheduled on October 26th. We've got approve and fund the fiscal year 21 capital plan. That clearly would be a financial article. Yeah. The transfer of free cash, prior year's bills, the PEG access receipts. I would argue that that's financial in nature. It may not be, tax rate financial, but it's a financial article to fund the TV studio. They need that to happen. Union contracts is absolutely a funding article. The gifts of land. Yeah, what I'm looking at is a warrant that's basically, I think I would guess the conclusion is going to be that we would be asked to ask the moderator to just take up the financial articles and push off anything that wasn't of critical importance, especially in the time of the virus, getting a grip on us again. So, but we'll see what she has to say on Thursday. But, it is what it is. The state calls the shots and we adjust.
We did submit for our free cash. They're going through it. They've asked for some additional documentation, and we're hoping to get that done by the end of this week, if not next week. I've got, with us rolling over a large amount of free cash, and then also, I don't know if everybody remembers, but roughly in March, we put a freeze on all non-contractual expenses. Obviously, we've paid some COVID for when we've been reimbursed, but we're looking to have a decent amount of free cash, which will help us put more money into the stabilization fund, given that we took 600,000 out. So, we've done the right moves to be financially secure. I just don't want to mess it up in the 11th hour. So,
okay. Comments from the board, Alan?
It's pretty straightforward, simple. We have no choice. We're unfortunately being penalized because of the 2 town meetings, because we have the money articles and adjustments there. And I was hoping that DLS would be a little more helpful as far as, working with DOR on the situation, considering COVID and everything else. But the bottom line is this is their rules and we have to follow them. So we have no choice but to move this up. If we don't move it up, it's going to be a problem. Thank you.
Yep. Patrick?
Yeah, there's really nothing to say. I mean, if they don't do something with it, we're in trouble. So what are you going to do?
Yep.
It seems crazy, though, when you think about it. They'll do all these other things for us, for protection and during the COVID time. But the taxes must go on. you know, it's like the show must go on. Things have to go on no matter what, and they're not going to let us deal with it any other way. So we'll deal with it the way they want us to.
Yeah. I mean, they've managed to combine death and taxes into one nice package with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Jim.
Yeah, just, what do towns that only have one annual town meeting do about setting their annual tax rate?
Well, then if they didn't have a fall town meeting, it wouldn't be a concern. Because they wouldn't have had a fall town meeting with financial articles on it.
So so that's the issue about when we're doing our capital stuff and having the 2 annual town meetings.
Right, and a normal
creates this.
It creates in this instance. We've never had the problem before. Also, we've always our town meetings the fourth Monday in October. We're usually not setting our tax rate till the end of November. So we've never had a timing issue.
Yeah, it was just something we had spoken earlier, Mr. Sullivan and I. So I kind of knew what was coming on. Just one of those questions, and I guess you can't have 3/4 of estimated tax bills, and it's just the mailings, and it's a cost effect. So I'll go along with whatever you can get done with the town moderator on what to do. And if we do move it up and it's going to be financial articles only, let's stick to financial articles only. Okay, please. Thank you.
Judy?
There's nothing to say. There's something to do.
Yep. That's pretty much it. I mean, for example, the Wareham Village 1 rezoning, that's not financial. That's going to have to get pushed off. We're going to have to figure out some of the technical things we can and cannot do, and get back to the board on that as well. But we'll see what happens on Thursday, and we'll get a report out to the board that afternoon about what was discussed and what the moderator says and what Rich says. So we'll go from there. So that's what we have for the regular 2020 fall town meeting. Discussion and votes on articles for 2020 special town meeting. Mr. Sullivan, you've got something you'd like us to put on?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sent out earlier, and I apologize they didn't get to you sooner. There was some backup, and so the long and the short of it, the town has a property called Westfield, and there's an old Campanelli project, and I think we actually we got it in two different phases, but it's basically one large lot. That property we most recently have given licenses to for Wareham Girls Softball Association. That's done a really nice job. They've utilized community preservation funds very well. And also the Wareham Soccer Association has set up over there. However, back in 2010, in Article 84, so Alan can explain how we got to 84 articles in a town meeting.
No, he still can't explain that.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Charter.
Yeah, easily.
Article 84 of that town meeting basically set up that a portion of that property would be established for senior living, that the town would put it out for RFP. I came on board and was working for the town right at sort of the tail end of that, and it was part of putting out the second RFP. There's no interest in that project. One of it being the sewers nowhere near there. The other being there's basically some items in their requirements to maintain ball fields, etc. That made it financially not feasible whatsoever. So the original taking of that property, if you remember, was for recreational purposes and such. So we have somebody that's interested in utilizing some more of those fields, another nonprofit recreational entity. They basically taking over where the town does not have a recreational division. It's these nonprofits and organizations, and frankly, just good residents of our community. They're stepping in to fill that void. So they do a vital function for us. So the first step would be to rescind Article 84. So that portion of land that was taken up, which I think, give or take 17 to almost 20 acres, I think was set aside, would be back for recreational purposes. And then the second item would be if the town would allow us to, the second article is to lease that property to a recreational nonprofit for a term not to exceed 30 years. We obviously would have to go out to bid for that. So there's no guarantee, but there's some interest in it, and I think it would be in the best interest of the community at all, especially for the kids and the services we offer to go in this direction.
Let me ask a question. What is the plan? What do they have in mind?
Thank you.
Yeah, so they've got to set up a couple ball fields on there, and then actually set up an indoor center, which would allow for cheerleading and such. And it looks like they would be doing the fundraising for this as well. So it looks like it wouldn't be totally on the backs of the town or CPC. It looks to be the people that have approached us are the Tigers. So they're looking for fields obviously for football, but also lacrosse, which is an up and coming game that's no longer for the Peter. Where'd you go to school?
Tabor.
Oh, yeah. That institution of excellence across the border.
Yeah, no longer for the Tabor kids. They're doing a nice job. They're looking to set up a fairly large complex with as I said, with some of the fields there. Practice, one game field that would be basically just for games. And right now they utilize the field that the gatemen use, and I can't.
Blaine Field.
Blaine, thank you. I knew Judy would kill me on that. They utilize Spillane and others, and it's just not working. So if we could basically they could have their own site. I think it'd be something that'd be good for the town. They could also hold some small tournaments there when we're allowed to do those sorts of things again. And they've shown to be a fairly, not fairly, a very good organization. Obviously can't guarantee it, but that's their plan. If we have interest in this, want to put it on, I would suggest let's bring them forward at the next town meeting to speak about it. But we obviously can't guarantee it to them. So I don't know if this is cart before the horse. So I just want to be able to see that that the town has some interest in doing this, and the is not be by it authorizes the Board of Selectmen to enter into a lease. So it wouldn't just be an approval and then it disappears and the town administrator signs off on it. It would need Board of Selectmen approval the way it's set up.
That was supposed to be a recreational area the whole time. There was a heck of a plan in place once upon a time, the Westfield project, which I was involved with many moons ago in the 90s somewhere. And it's actually the perfect spot for that kind of use. And I don't have any problem with the Tigers wanting to use it. And if worse came to worse, we could give them those same type of lease, yearly lease that you gave the others, if we had to. Worse came to worse.
I think we were looking at some of the municipal modernization. I think we could probably go up to 30 years without really town meeting approval. Right. On it. Just wanted to cover my bases on it because I was trying to go through the charter as well to see what the duration was. So
okay, awesome.
But if people are if we're going to ask them to rescind Article 84, I guess they should know that where the interest is coming from and who the interested parties are.
Yeah, it's a bad place for senior housing or any other kind of housing, really.
So,
So the only action that you're looking for right now is a motion to rescind Article 84 of the 2010 Fall Town Meeting.
Well, he's looking for both articles. One would be to rescind and the other would be to do the 30-year lease. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the two of them. I mean, the interesting part is that original, if you look at that Article 84, it authorized the Board of Selectmen to do some actions. But I say, rather than playing games, let's rescind the whole thing and make sure we're doing it cleanly.
Okay. Jim, questions about this?
Alan's raising his hand. Let him go here first.
Oh, okay. Alan?
We've had some preliminary discussions about this, just to see how it actually would go together. Again, the problem with Article 84 basically listed a certain area that had to be for, for housing, a certain area for recreation, etc. The second article, what it does is it basically opens it up to any of the options. It doesn't take any piece of land and say this has to be here, this has to be there. The actual lots and stuff that were designated for the affordable housing, we needed to basically change it so where the fields would go and parking, which is another critical piece, because on that particular road we have complaints of, even with the football, the softball game, people park on the street. This would take all the parking and put it off onto the fields out of the way. And the bottom line is this will allow us to go ahead and take land, and we'll have land left over for further development if we want. Again, I think it's 4 different opportunities of how we can do it as well. We never took the housing piece out of it. It just doesn't lock us into a set area that you can't do anything else but housing. Thank you.
Okay. Jim?
Well, I haven't seen the language that I think Selectman Slavin was just referring to. I haven't seen the map of the area and which they want to utilize. And I would like to know a little bit about the proposal and how it's going to be funded moving forward and the approximate costs for things. I mean, sounds like, yeah, that's what I would like to know. And it's nice face, Peter.
No, but it's just, it costs people money to come up with engineering plans and everything else, Jim. That's the thing, is I think sometimes,
well,
we have to proceed and allow people to come with this.
No, I would like to know and have a little more information. I don't mind rescinding Article 84 from the 2010 town meeting, but I don't want to just say, yeah, go ahead, here's a carte blanche, and what's the difference between the lease or an RFP? What's the benefit and to whom? Putting structures on properties. I mean, that's a cost factor. And do we bear the burden of that through CPC? These are all things to consider. So when we start to open up this discussion and decisions on this, I mean, it's just not right now saying, yeah, okay, let's just do it. I like a little bit of information, and sometimes I feel that it's lacking. And everybody says, oh yeah, we'll just figure it out as we go along. And I'm sorry, I just can't agree to that all the time. Thanks.
I think, if I can, I think Selectman Muniz might be, it's kind of point towards what we're saying. It authorizes you to lease the property. In order to lease the property, you need to do an RFP. An RFP would give you the proposals with the background and the information that you would want. You establish the RFP for how you would want it. What do you want? You want an organization that serves how many people of the community? You want a nonprofit, a youth. So you wouldn't do that necessarily at town meeting. You would do that as part of your RFP in the leasing process. And you want to know what? At the end of the day, if if you look at it and there's you have some concerns and stuff, then don't do it.
No, I agree, and I thank you for the clarification on that. How is it we license now? We didn't do RFPs for softball and soccer that's there now, did we?
Right, because that license is revocable at will.
Right.
Basically tomorrow we could say we need that property back for a police station or something like that.
Right, so why wouldn't we want to keep that option open for ourselves at this point in time? And that, as you know, thinking towards the future for this 17 to 20 acres.
I think that's a great question. One of the things I think that the Tigers organization was looking to do private fundraising. So as we've seen in the past, there's almost what you saw with Buzzards Bay Coalition with the bathhouse was, in order to get the private investors, they need to show that, you know, it's not something, if I'm Jane or Joe wealthy person, am I going to give a sizable check to an organization for land that they don't have some sort of security in? And 30 years certainly isn't 99. It's longer, I'm guessing, than we'd see most of us still here on a Zoom or whatever will be in the future at that time. But it gives them some ability, and this is just me thinking, gives them some ability to go out to organizations or go out to people and hopefully not utilize all the town funds.
No,
You know,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Jim. Finish.
No, it's just, again, we're extending consideration for one group over what we haven't done for the others, as far as guaranteeing a prolonged period in any one spot. So I was just looking at it that way. You know, I played youth sports, and I guess luckily the town provided the facilities, you know, being the fields and a little tiny place you can buy a soda. And I believe they still do. And, you know, I'm in favor of those types of things. I'm just looking at it basically as, you know, how all the groups are utilizing town properties, and trying to be fair and open and keep it on the wall. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think Babe Ruth has it's probably, that's not 99 years now, but a 99-year lease over on Charge Pond Road for the properties that they use. So
no, actually they bought the property. We gave them the property for $1.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's their property, and the only time it reverts to us, there's a rescission clause in there that allows it to revert if they don't continue to have baseball. That's what's in it, and then it reverts back to the town. But it's they got it for $1. It's theirs as long as they keep using it. We gave them a deed and everything. So we've had a history of trying to take care of some of these sports things. And let me tell you, this town needs all the sports stuff it can get. This community, these children, they need as much as they can get and do as much as they can. And if we gave it all to them, it'd be okay with me.
Okay, thank you. Judy?
I have nothing more to add to the conversation.
Okay, so tonight you're to return to what we were talking about. You're looking for us to put the rescind Article 84 article on the warrant, and also to put the authorize a 30-year lease, authorize the selectmen to enter into a 30-year lease.
I move we put both articles on the warrant.
Can we do them one at a time, please?
Yeah, Patrick, why don't you withdraw and we'll do the first, because there may not be the same votes. Why don't you withdraw your motion, and can we get a motion to put the rescind Article 84 on?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion to rescind Article 84 from the 2010 Fall Town Meeting article, to place that on the special town meeting warrant from Patrick, seconded by Judy. Roll call vote. Or is there any discussion, or are we good? Good. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
myself, yes. Okay, that goes on 500. And by the way, I'll be working on a warrant. Once we put these on, I'll get the actual, draft warrant together and get it out to you guys. Does somebody want to make a motion for the second piece of this to authorize?
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second it, but for discussion, please.
Okay, that's fine. Motion by Patrick, seconded for discussion by Judy. Discuss.
I hear what Mr. Muniz is saying. And we're not promising the property to anybody because we can't. There will have to be an RFP. I'm uncomfortable with the 30 years, to be honest with you. We have 2 other active sports groups that don't have the same opportunity. And in fairness, I think we need to maybe think about how we do this second part.
What are the other
I would
two?
have to, there is one thing I would have to say to that. And, part of what these organizations get is what they ask for. And so if you've got, and I don't know the history here, and perhaps the town administrator, in his role as the procurement and licensing person for town property can tell us, it may well be that a 30-year lease wasn't in their interest, or they didn't want it, or they didn't ask for it.
Yeah, we put in there the lease for a term not to exceed 30 years. So again, my understanding is we could actually, by the charter, I could probably go forth and put an RFP and move forward on this for a period of at least 10 years, possibly up to 30. So it's just bringing. It looks like we're just trying to bring you on board and make sure this gets taken care of at a town meeting. By I guess I mean a royal we on there. So I have no problem. I think we can get we showed sort of the generic map. I think we can give you a little section with an overlay of where the current fields are and what the other area would be, what that portion would be and such. So it's it's up to what you want to do.
Yeah. Judy, do you have anything further?
Myself, I'd like to piggyback on what Mrs. Whiteside said. Not against it. I just want the same opportunity offered to the 2 groups that are up there. I believe that is it girls softball and soccer. Is that what's up there?
Yes.
And if they would be interested to enter into similar, longer term RFPs or contracts, I'd feel better about it and just give everybody the same opportunity so that they don't have to worry about it and they can seek some fundraising on longer term projects and goals. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anything else on the second article that would authorize the lease? Alan?
No.
Patrick, you good?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Judy, you're all set? And Jim, you're all set? I'll do a roll call vote then. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Could you read the motion again? What the verbiage of the article would be, please?
Hold on, let me dig it up.
See if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to lease for nonprofit recreational purposes a portion of town property known as the Westfield property. Said portion estimated to be 17 acres plus or minus of the approximately 77-acre complex. The lease to be for a term not to exceed 30 years or do or act in any manner relative thereto.
Could I ask a question, Mr. Titlebaum?
Yeah, I guess. Go ahead. Well, we're kind of in the middle of the motion.
No, I know we are, but if you took the 17 acres out, that would leave, I'm not an attorney, but if you took the specific 17 acres out, that would give not just whoever might be seeking it, but it might also give the current tenants the opportunity to go forward and get a longer period of time from the town. Is that correct?
No, I could do it with them without town meeting again. So,
What are
but
you saying, Mr. Sullivan?
I'm saying actually, if with this being if it's a recreational complex or such, those other places that already had the, you know, the potential, the lease areas, we could go forward and lease it without town meeting. So it's, you know, it would be interesting. I'd say, hey, we've got why don't we bring the Tigers into here? Because a substantial amount of tax money has gone into the softball and the soccer association.
Correct.
And my understanding is the Tigers aren't searching for that. So be good to hear, because one thing, if you want fairness, you know, what's the fairness? Either you're doing it in a longer term lease, offsetting it from using tax dollars, or whatever you want to do. Bring it in. I think we're overly complicating a situation.
Sure.
We have this, and it doesn't mean that the opinions of the board aren't valid, but I think we're overthinking a matter.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Thank you, Mr. Titlebaum.
Okay.
My vote would be yes.
Okay, I vote yes as well. So that goes on by another 5-0-0 vote. Was there anything else, Mr. Sullivan?
Yeah, we have the zoning article.
Yeah, and you know, with the understanding that this article, the two articles we just put on, the zoning article and everything else, you know, when we opened this warrant last week, we were very direct in saying that just because we notice a meeting for December 19th doesn't mean a meeting is going to take place on December 19th. It's going to depend upon COVID. It's going to depend upon the moderator's discretion in how to use her emergency authority in consultation with the Board of Health. And so before anybody, you know, starts getting upset about the notion that, oh my God, this is going to get, you know, jammed down the town's throat a week before Christmas, all precautions, and I've had conversations with the moderator about this. She wants turnout on these articles. She wants to have the most people heard. That's my feeling as well. You know, we just went through a federal election where, you know, we had record turnout. There should be record turnout for this sort of thing as well at a town meeting. And you can't have record turnout in the middle of a pandemic. That much we know, especially when the cases are rising and we're still waiting for the vaccine. So with that in mind,
yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I understand that at least from what we're trying to do operationally from the town, we're throwing the town meetings into a bit of disarray by requesting it to be moved backward. So, you know, it would be, and I know the moderator's concerned, so it would be my recommendation to her, so we don't confuse the residents about which town meeting is what, that I'm going to recommend to her that she move the special town meeting, which is the one that we're talking about, into January. So whether what she wants to do, that's obviously up to her, but I think that will take some of the confusion of what's a confusing situation out.
Okay.
So I mean, it's confusing for all of us, and this is our bread and butter. So
yeah, exactly.
You know,
yeah, it's a different world out there. Alan.
What would you like me to say?
Well, I mean, what do you think about putting this article on?
I thought we were, you know, as of a week ago, we were basically going to leave this up to the voters. That this was something where I think I insisted that we have a single location. If we have 400 or 500 people, we have a football field and a huge tent with heaters or whatever, and everybody gets a chance to speak. You know, I've always been of the opinion that the residents who come and vote, it's their call, not ours. We should give everybody an opportunity to say yes or no. I've always had a hard time when we restrict things and don't let the voters actually speak their minds.
Okay, thank you. Patrick?
I agree. I don't want to make this complicated. Put it on, let the voters make their decision. It's up to them.
Okay, Jim?
Zoning article, that's kind of, which zoning article in specific?
This would be the East Wareham entertainment hospitality article.
I don't have much to say about it.
Okay, thank you. Judy?
Yes, I believe that the voters should have the opportunity to speak on it. I agree with Mr. Slavin.
Okay, I agree as well. You know, this is something that's, you know, potentially transformative, and depending on where you fall down on this issue, one way or the other, you may think it's transformative in a great way, and you may think it's transformative in the other direction. But you know, the idea that you know, this decision should only be made by a few people, that's not the case. It needs to be made by as many people in town as we possibly can. And I guess now's my opportunity to maybe scold our voters a little bit. This past spring, we had about 1,300 people show up for town meeting. Or not town meeting, I mean the annual election. The only thing that was really on there were, you know, the local races. People don't show up for those. And ever since I've gotten on this board, point of telling people that we have the power to screw up your lives a lot more than anybody in Washington does. And yet we had almost 13,000, almost a factor of 10, show up and vote in the presidential election for one of two people, presumably, who don't really have the same local impact that we do. So, you know, with something like this, we want turnout. We want to hear from people. We want the most voices heard in making such a major decision. So that's all I have to say.
May I make a motion?
Yep.
I move that we include the hospitality entertainment zoning article in this special town meeting warrant.
Second.
Okay, motion by Judy, seconded by Patrick. And, you know, as happens when you've got these land use articles, zoning articles that are in the process of going through the public hearing and everything else, what actually is going to go on the warrant is the placeholder. The actual motion at town meeting will come about after the public input is heard and the actual full language of the article has been resolved as to what's going to go directly before town meeting. In the meantime, the article, you know, in its present form or its draft form right now, will be on file in the town clerk's office, and it's already up online. So I would advise people to familiarize themselves with it.
I want to say
actually also a public hearing already scheduled for
Yes.
planning board.
Yes, there is. Yeah, Patrick?
Let me just say one thing. So there's no casino involved in any of this. This is just a change in zoning. So there's no casino, there's no proposal, there's nothing. And by the way, just so everybody knows, if there should ever become somebody come up there and say, okay, we want to put a casino in here, it would have to go on a ballot and everybody would get to vote on it.
Yeah, townwide election, not town meeting, a townwide election.
Absolutely.
And that's in state law. So there's no getting around that. Okay, if there is anything else, I'll.
So this is just to put it on the warrant, not whether we support it.
Exactly. This is not our endorsement to recommend.
Correct.
That comes later.
Correct.
Or not. Anything further? Alan?
No.
Okay. Jim, you have anything further?
No, I do not.
Patrick?
No.
Judy?
No, thank you.
I don't either. I'll ask for the vote now. Alan?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay, that'll go on 5-0-0. Do we have any other articles at this time you'd like to recommend go on this special town meeting warrant, Mr. Sullivan?
No, Mr. Chairman, since we've got, excuse me, we've got the placeholder for a bylaw, in what was the December 28th meeting. I think we, and Selectmen Muniz, I think we can do the bylaw we were just talking about doing in the special town meeting within the annual, because the times are essentially reversed. So that's so we can get the language in there for the annual. And yes, it is confusing as heck. I apologize.
Yeah, well, what was further out in time is now going to take place closer in time.
Yes. So.
Okay.
So that's right. I think we can work on that that bylaw there. As the language we read out, I should get a copy to everybody. I'll give myself a note to get that out to you tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, you had also previously discussed the idea of enabling the Board of Health through adoption of a bylaw to pick one trash hauler.
Yep, that is the bylaw.
That is the bylaw. Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. So that doesn't need to go on this. We're good with that. Okay.
All right. So,
and at this time, does the board have any ideas about things they might want to put on the warrant? You know, we can do that too. Alan?
No.
Patrick?
No.
Jim?
I submitted one from the Affordable Housing Trust to the Selectmen's office today.
Okay. We'll wait to see that. It's still open next week until we close it next week. So,
well, I submitted it, so it's in there.
Yep, that's fine. But I'm just saying as a general remark, we're closing it next week. So if anything comes in, we'll discuss it next week and decide on it before we close the warrant. So,
Jim, I'll grab a copy of that unless you can email it to me, and I'll send it to the DOR just to see if they'd consider it financial and.
Yeah, it's special legislation, so at this point it's not financial. Maybe our town attorney could also give you some advice on that.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, it's not financial. It could have financial implications in another tax year, but it's not financial. Is our town attorney.
Yeah, this isn't on the warrant though. Isn't on the meeting tonight to discuss, so we can't discuss.
Right. What I'm just saying is I'd love to get the DOR to sign off that they're not going to jam us up on it, basically.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll bring the article Jim's talking about forward next week.
I'll get it to you, Derek, and I'll send it to Rich.
Yep, thank you. Anybody else have any, Judy, you got any business you'd like to take up?
No, thank you.
I think I asked Patrick. I don't have any that I can think of at this point in time. So we've got those 3 articles that we've put on, and we will go forward from there. Let's see, what else do we have? Any other town business within 48 hours? Alan?
No.
Patrick?
No.
Jim?
No.
Judy?
No way.
Okay then, said with authority. Myself, no. Town administrators report?
No.
Nah, he's done. Liaison initiative reports. Okay, everybody glare at Alan.
I'll do this quickly. We're getting close to the 10 o'clock time.
That's no such thing as you doing this quickly.
If you keep interrupting, it might take longer.
Ooh, he's getting grouchy. Yep, it's definitely, he's sundown, and it's definitely, that's why we have the 10 o'clock rule is for the older members of the board. Go ahead, Alan.
Okay, the South Coast Bikeway Alliance had a Zoom meeting. We broke a record. I actually had a Zoom meeting that lasted 3 hours. I only fell asleep twice. Basically, all the different communities from Fall River right to Wareham are working on bike paths to make a basic bike path with the Eastern Greenway group. Basically, we'll have a single path all the way through that will join up into Plymouth and will join over to the Cape. It's going to take about 5 years for it all to get done, but it's being worked on now. There's a video that was put together. I'll try and get that out to everybody so they can see it. It shows each town and what's going on. I had a meeting today with the MPO, which is basically the Metropolitan Planning Organization for any road projects, which is called the TIP, which is Transportation Improvement Program. Everything for Wareham is still on track and nothing's changing there, so we haven't lost anything. This Thursday, I have my first meeting with the Commuter Rail Study Advisory Group, which basically is working through the Cape Cod Commission. Middleborough and Wareham are part of this because of the spur that we're looking to add in. I'll have an update for you on Thursday as to what the viability is of the spur for the commuter rail actually having a chance to happen or not with the phase one. The other piece is I have a Plymouth County Advisory Board meeting on Thursday. We were talking about some budget issues, et cetera, and I'll forward the information on that if it affects us at all as far as finances. That's it.
Great, thank you.
Whoa.
Patrick?
I'm good. This is long enough for me.
Yeah.
All set.
Jim?
Yeah, we had our Affordable Housing Trust meeting this morning. Mr. Buckland was nice enough to set it up for us on Zoom. It was a kind of an experience for me trying to work off of different papers and utilizing Zoom. It was good. It was a good meeting, and we would hope to talk to some state agencies, but they don't like to meet in the public format, I guess, so we weren't able to. And so we'll move forward. Things are coming along, and just want to thank everybody. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Judy?
No, thank you.
Yep, I don't have anything either. We have a set of minutes from the Thursday, November 5th meeting.
That's correct. I move that we approve the minutes as submitted for November 5th, 2020.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve minutes by Judy, seconded by Patrick. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yep, happy birthday, Dave.
Happy birthday, who?
It's my birthday on the 5th.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
He was eating
Yeah.
cupcakes.
That's right.
Oh, okay. At home, right? Because last year, I think they were presented to you.
Yes.
They
they
were.
brought them into all of us.
Yeah. Okay, Patrick, on the motion for minutes.
Yes.
Jim?
I'm gonna just say present on that. I don't see them on the bottom of my agenda. Maybe they came in a separate packet. I wasn't able to review them. They're probably
Okay.
there. I just looked again. I didn't see them. So
Okay, so we'll log you as present then. Judy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. So it's 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 present. Mr. Manise present. You know what's next?
Alan.
Motion to adjourn. Let's go home.
Yeah.
We are home.
Second.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Alan, seconded by Judy. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Jim?
yes.
Judy?
Yes, please.
Myself, yes, 500. Thank you, Wareham, for hanging in there for this somewhat lengthy meeting, and we will see you next week. Good night, all.
Good night,
Be safe,
everybody.
folks. Later.